Epic Gaming Night is sponsored by Tasty Minstrel Games. Make sure to check out the Tasty Minstrel podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. This podcast is made possible by the support of patrons like you. Thanks for your support. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Roy Canny, and with me as always is Matt.
And I'm mute. Oh, God.
And Rob.
I was just doing the exact same thing. Unmute. Hello, everybody.
That's awesome.
Can you guys hear me?
I can totally
hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, cool. So new Skype doesn't actually untoggle the mute versus the unmute button. It just appears that you're muted constantly.
What?
For me, anyway. Because that's what I'm just like rapidly clicking it like, come on.
Hype. Well, we have missed you, Matt. We've missed Matt. He hasn't been on the last couple podcasts.
I have missed Matt.
I'm not entirely dead.
The tears have been flowing.
Bro, also, look on the YouTube page. We now have the chat over the overlay.
Yeah.
So people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we reference chat so much during the show, and I'm sure people that listen to the audio are always like, what are they talking about? When people randomly ask questions in chat, we'll answer them and things like that. So it's always fun.
What in the heck is Mark talking about? Hot tea, check. Popcorn, check. It makes sense now. But I was like, Matt, Rob, Roy, check. Like,
but now people who watch us on YouTube can see the chat after the fact, so they can kind of like follow along with everybody who joins in during our live shows. So make sure if you want to check out our live shows, we stream these Tuesday night at 9 p.m. at youtube.com/Epic Gaming Night, and we've been having a bunch of people join in. It's been a whole lot of fun.
We have been. Chat has been blowing up, and I love it.
Chat's already asking if this is going to be Stuffed Fables Part 2. Stuffed Fables was really fun last week, talking with Jerry, Matt. You might want to go back and listen to that one.
It actually sounds really good. I know I'm definitely. In fact, I already pre-ordered it. I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
I saw it there. I was going to try to get some pictures of it, and then they Fantasy Flight had the Civilization game and the Fallout game there, and I was like, I should take pictures of these.
How did the Civ game look?
I could not even get close to the tables. The Civ game looked...
I played the Civ game at Gen Con.
Neat, but like a little... For me, having played...
I wouldn't call it like... It doesn't feel like Civilization, the video game, that much, you know?
I was going to say, from somebody who plays the video game a decent amount, it looked to me very much like they tried to make it a board game, but there was a lot of stuff that I felt was like lacking from it. Yeah, but this is also a demo version where it's very new. Everything's starting off. So.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Totally.
All right. It's just if you're looking on the thing, it says speakers muted.
Yeah, I don't know how to make Skype not do that.
I like that every time Skype updates, it's like, hey, guess what?
It gets worse.
Microsoft's like, guys, look, we've heard what you said. Microtransactions, they're here. We brought them to you.
Yeah, I can't make that go away, but hey, Rob's speakers are not muted, even though it says that over him.
Hey, Matt, did you hear, and I know we're going to talk, well, never mind. We'll talk about it here in a minute. Okay. But did you hear about...
We're about to talk about news. Are we about to talk about the very first thing in the news, which I'm super excited about? I think Matt might be excited about this.
What is it?
I got a couple things. The very first one that I want to talk about is Betrayal at House on the Hill Legacy. So Rob Daviau had announced it, and then they announced it that Betrayal at House on the Hill Legacy is coming out. But yeah, I know Betrayal at House on the Hill is one of the games that got Matt into the hobby a little bit. And I'm super excited to see what they do with this. I think they basically just said each time you go in, you're going to be like a different generation of people from the same family sort of thing. It's kind of how it's going to work. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they implement the legacy. But it's supposed to be coming out next October.
I would have almost... Now, I don't mean to be so nascent immediately, but I feel like I would have almost rather they did something similar to the game Rogue Legacy, where you basically, even though that's a generational thing, let's just ignore that comment entirely. But like you go in wave 1 and it's a really hard game and you try to explore as much as you can and figure out as much as you can, but you're probably going to die. And then you die and then some other people show up and then keep doing that. And then you just keep kind of cracking at the same house. And then the neat thing about that is it could be legacy in that you're changing the people, but you could also do app integration to where it changes the maps and the campaigns and the scenarios and stuff. And it would be, I don't know, the ultimate game. But
yeah, I really wonder what it's going to look like, because there's tons of ways that they could go with it, you know?
Yeah.
So
it'll definitely
sounds
be super
stupid.
interesting to play.
I would love for them to do it like where like almost ghost paranormal investigators, and like you go from case to case and it gets harder and harder, because that's really what it is.
There's going to be
that
tons
game
of different
is like you're just normal people and you're doing a bunch of stuff. I would love to see how it gets harder and harder, and you get to keep characters or characters die off. Like I would love to see.
It still has to have the
Madness
traitor
come out with
element in there too, right? So,
but they could just get possessed, and like maybe if like you're doing that as a legacy, if you get possessed, you don't get the upgrades like everybody else gets for like the next mission, you know, because random or whatever. And we'll see. I'm excited. I love how broken the game is, and now to add a legacy portion to it, I just hope they fix the rules. But I'm super excited for this.
I mean, in theory, they'll have to fix the rules, right? I don't think they can put something out that's that busted.
In theory, they should, yes.
And then add another complete, like, concrete block layer of rules on top of it and be like, guys, we made this game that kind of works sometimes, and it's pretty fun to play. A game that also kind of works sometimes, but you have to destroy it.
But pay $59.99 and it will be yours.
Hey, baby, get another copy because you messed that one up bad.
Yeah, I hope it's great. I hope it's great.
I want to see them integrate stuff like Mansions of Madness, like level, like detail into stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Like if you dude, like if you flip out a room tile, like it's cool to go, okay, and I explore this room, and this room is the observatory. Just give me like a brief thing that's like the observatory on a dark, eerie night can see all, and you're like, whoa, all right, cool. Whatever.
Over there, you can look through the thing of the. You can look through the telescope in the observatory, or whatever, you know.
Speaking of Mansions of Madness, and I know we'll talk about this, but we played the new Mansions of Madness expansion.
Yeah.
The one in the museum.
By far, probably my favorite.
Really? You like that scenario?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. And I know we'll talk about it. We'll wait. But anyway, Matt, so much fun. And quick spoiler, we completely got annihilated. So much fun.
Oh, man.
So this is the one in the museum, right?
Yeah,
yes.
We specifically played the scenario that was in the museum. So
okay,
the one that's like super hard to had 5 stars. It says take notes, which I'm telling anybody that's listening.
It's the Streets of Arkham expansion, and it has one that's kind of like in a lab, and then one that's kind of like on the streets where you have like these mobster guys, and then it has the last one is the museum one, and the museum one's the one that we played because it was the most difficult. And I think it's the kind of thing where you're probably not going to beat it the first time you play it, but we got a bunch of clues on like how to crack the case a little bit better for next time. Maybe. You just got to listen.
We don't know
closely
because we'll just wait till we talk about it. We don't know.
Cool. The next piece of news that I want to talk about is that Fantasy Flight Games finally announced more information about the Imperial Assault app.
Coming January 12th.
Was it like a year and a half after they first announced it? They finally put up an article on their webpage with
that was
screenshots
the next game I was
like
getting ready to sell. I'm so glad they announced this.
Yeah. So this is going to basically, it looks straight up like very close to their Road to Legend for Descent, which we knew it was basically going to be like that, but this pretty much confirms it's just going to be like it takes over the part of the Imperial player, and then you can play through the game as the Rebellion. And it's completely new scenarios, not the scenario that's in the books for Imperial Assault. But you can play through and play completely cooperative and work together and fight off the app and go through these cool different scenarios while upgrading your rebel characters as you go along. So it seems pretty cool. I'm excited. I felt like Imperial Assault, at least the scenarios that we played, it's like if I know it probably swings towards the beginning. It's really hard for the rebels to win, but as they get upgraded, it makes people say that it gets easier for them to win the game more. But it felt like playing the Empire, it's just like you could crush the rebels if you really wanted to try. So you had to kind of do that little like hold back thing where it's like I'm holding back a little bit, not going as hard as I could. And I feel like even in some scenarios when I was holding back a little bit, you guys were still getting messed up in some of those scenarios.
Yep.
We played it like one night. Did we play like 2 or 3 scenarios, something like that?
Yeah, like me, you, and AJ.
And yeah, I liked the system and everything and stuff like that, but it just felt like, I don't know. I wish there was a little bit
like,
more, you know?
You guys should come over and play Blood Rage, like right now.
We could. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
I'm not lying. You're invited to my house right now.
All right, podcast off. Actually, I'm going to stream from my phone as I drive over to your house, and no, I'm just going to continue it that way.
Get to live stream a car accident. It'll be great.
I'll make sure
don't
to
text and drive,
dox
kids.
your house as we go by. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be terrible. Awesome. Good times. But yeah, so the Imperial Assault app, it's been in the works. Apparently it's coming. And it says soon. I'm hoping soon means like as soon as the app stores approve it, not soon as in like the beginning of the year, because people will be super mad if it just is still going to take forever.
Well, the crazy thing is the beginning of the year is right around the corner. I mean,
yeah.
Even if it ends up being like the beginning of the year, I'd be okay. I think they're going to hurt themselves if they wait to the beginning of the year. Like, it'd be great if they could release it now, so that way, like during the holiday season, people would go out and buy the base game and the expansions.
I feel like people might do some of that anyway, just with the announcement, which might be why they announced it. So I could see it going either way.
I mean, there's probably just like a video somewhere of somebody who bought it the last time they announced it, and then like a year later just started burning his copy.
There's multiple people that had like bought it and then sold it, and then they announced they were coming out with the app, and then they rebought it, and then they took so long, and then they probably got rid of it again. Like I've heard people like saying that they keep getting the game and getting rid of it. I think Trevor's one of the people that have done some of that craziness. So
yeah,
waiting for that app to come out so you can play it cooperatively.
Yeah.
Good times. Awesome. So that was our news. One of the first things that we want to talk about is Matt got a chance to go to PAX Unplugged. And this is a brand new convention put on by the guys who do Penny Arcade. And they normally do lots of PAX. They have, how many different PAX conventions do they have now? There's like PAX Prime,
East, West, South, Australia, Unplugged. Wait, not West, Prime. It's Prime.
Yeah, Prime is the one in Seattle, right?
Yeah. So there's Prime in Seattle. South, I think, is in Austin. East is in Boston. Unplugged is in Philly this year. And then there's PAX Australia, I believe.
Yes.
And that's all of the ones that I am aware of. But
that's crazy. So anyway, they do these, I mean, a lot of it's video games, but sometimes the PAX conventions, or I think all the times PAX conventions have a like open play area with some like tabletop stuff going on for like role-playing games and for board games and stuff like that. But they decided to do this PAX Unplugged thing, which is strictly analog games. So it's all tabletop games and miniatures games and role-playing games and board games, all that sort of stuff.
And let me tell you, the role-playing games...
was it intense?
Oh, boy. So, it was sort of... It was weird how it was set up, because the convention center is basically in the middle of downtown, mm-hmm. So it's, like, spread over a couple of blocks, so it has this weird sort of truncated feel to it.
Okay.
So the main expo hall and the open play area are right beside each other, so as long as those are the two things you care about, that's all you. But you have to go like over a small sky bridge and then down a floor to get to the RPG place.
Mm-hmm.
Or it may not have been a sky bridge, but you have to walk a little ways away, go down a floor because the main expo hall was on the second floor. So the first day, we're leaving the hall on Friday.
Yep.
As it was like closing at like 10 o'clock. And we walk past the RPG place. And people are literally just flooding out of this hallway. Like, it literally... looks like a zombie movie because there are just like hordes of people just massing through this one hallway, and we're just like, oh my god, that is so many people. What is that? And it was just RPGs. It was just like Adventure League stuff and like free play, and I was like, whoa, okay, okay. I guess some people are strictly here to play D&D.
Yeah, I mean,
that's great.
With the Acquisitions Incorporated stuff that Penny Arcade does, I'm sure they have a huge following for like role playing game stuff. So, and I know like Critical Role and stuff was there too, right?
Yeah, some of the Critical Role cast was there. There's I think Dice Camera Action, which is another PAX D&D thing, was there, or Penny Arcade D&D thing.
I think Penny Arcade was there.
I would hope so.
Well, but they do multiple D&D shows.
Yeah.
So they brought the other folk in. I know Chris Perkins and a lot of the other like high level DMs that you see out on the internet were hanging around. Ran into a couple of them. Didn't say anything because I'm shy. So,
you just admired them from afar.
I was just like, oh look, that's the Teen Phoenix. All right, bye. But no, it was really good. My sort of main caveat was that on Saturday and Sunday it felt too busy to me.
Oh yeah,
like Gen Con busy.
Almost busier, I think, because of the space restrictions. Because like the free play tables, it was one of those things where we had 7 or 8 people in our group, and we were all just sort of like staring, like I don't think there's anything open, man. It's like that thing where you're like at school, you get to the lunchroom and you're like looking for a table, and you're like, I don't think there is one. It was like that, and then the expo hall just got so crowded that at times, because I don't necessarily feel like being too aggressive in my movement, I was just following people, and I was like, I am nowhere close to where I want to be. And so I was just like, let me just step out of this madness for a moment.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing that I thought was like.
Oh, nice. You got to see her?
That game looks super good, by the way. It looks so good. The
she's a
artwork
cool
in it
chick, man.
The artwork in it is like top notch.
Which game is that?
So, Countdown Action Edition.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Her new Dogmite game.
Yeah, it's like so retro 80s feel, and it's great. Emerson was at the booth the day I came by on like the last day, and so we just sat there and talked for a good bit. And Emerson's like, "Man, I played this game yesterday, but I just have to say, I think you will love this game because I liked Secret Hitler.
Yeah.
And it didn't play exactly like Secret Hitler, but it was like it still gave that same level of sort of like social deduction, but like a big immersion hit because you're sort of role playing a little bit of your characters and all this stuff. I don't know, super interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely super excited to try that out. I know we talked about it on the podcast, but Lindsay had sent me one of the dice towers from Dogmite, and those things are awesome. They fold up and stuff like that, so it's cool that she's doing all sorts of different stuff with those guys. And those are currently on Kickstarter now too, so if anybody wants to check out the Dogmite dice towers. But yeah,
but there was a lot of stuff. They had like a full Kickstarter section. They had a section that was probably like 3 normal booths big that was literally just selling components, just random odds and ends. They're like, hey, you're missing this, we've got it, come here and get this. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I didn't feel like I ever saw anything like that at Gen Con. It's probably there. I probably just went, I don't know what that is, and just completely walked away from it. Panda, the design or the company that does all of the production for a lot of the games, they had their own booth there. We're handing out like samples and catalogs and stuff for production quality stuff. It was really
okay.
That's awesome.
Wild.
So, I guess maybe they were like trying to sell their services or something.
Well, they also had a pretty big group of people who were doing playtesting for games and like alpha games, and then they had another room where people were just running prototypes of games that you could try. So, I mean, I think it's a pretty decent ad spot on their end to be like, hey man, you do game design, you think about doing game design, you want to maybe, I don't know, buy a plastic meeple or something. Hey, check it out.
I mean, it makes sense.
Well, I know they make a ton of the big games, so
they are like the only
one of the main ones that do it in China.
Yeah, they're like the last. Well, not the last. They're like the new monopoly for factories over there, because I know they do a lot with Asmodee, and I know they do a lot with Kumani or not. And when I say Asmodee, I mean like the whole umbrella.
I mean the whole like umbrella
corporation. Too.
Like almost everybody goes through Panda. I mean, there's people that do the stuff in Germany with Ludofac and stuff like that, but I
feel like it's one of those
in China. They normally do it through Panda. It'd be really cool to have somebody from Panda on.
That'd be neat. I did not get any of their business cards. So. I did get a production catalog, however.
We need to get Lindsay on the show.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'll beat her at Ashes again.
Live on the podcast. Oh man,
I got beat Mark Cale at Ashes. We'll talk about that soon.
One of the things I heard about was that they just had tons and tons of like open play area.
Oh yeah, no, it was huge. Like literally, the expo hall I think was smaller than the open play area.
That's awesome. And
then they even had like a shop in the open play area, like partway through, so you could just go over there and be like, "Hey, man, what's that game? Oh, I'll buy it," and then just go sit down and play it. It was crazy. Like, so you didn't even have to like, and it wasn't even that the expo hall was far. Like, you could just look over there and see all the people at the cool mini booth.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, cool. Yeah, but I could go over here where there's a big Pikachu and just buy stuff. I don't know. It was wild, but there was a lot of stuff to do there, in and out. One of the things that I liked, since I don't stay at cons too often. I like to go explore the city. It's literally in the middle of downtown. Right across the street is the Reading Terminal Market, which is like the big farmers market for the entire city of Philadelphia.
Huh.
So like that's where people were going for breakfast and for lunch, because they have restaurants in there, but they also have places you can get fresh produce and stuff. And they had like an Amish bakery that was serving out delicious stuff pretty much all week except for Sunday, because they don't work on the Sabbath. Just in case you're curious, because they had some people going over there for a pretzel, and they were like, "Hey man, where's all the Amish folk?" They're like, "Oh yeah, they don't work on Sundays." And they're like, "Ah, it makes sense. That's a shame. I really wanted a pretzel."
How was the food scene? I was getting ready to ask you that, like, because you're a food connoisseur, and I know we have our certain spots now at Gen Con that we like. Like, how would you compare this food wise? Forget games. Games are games. We already know the games. Good.
Yeah.
Food, bro.
So here's something I actually feel like I can kind of be an expert on. So, it was pretty good. I was trying to stick with the group that I was with pretty often, so they were going to some places where I didn't necessarily eat food, because I think like the second day we went to like a dim sum place, and I was just like, I don't really eat any of this. Yeah. But a lot of the other places we went to were pretty good. We went to a Cuban place Sunday morning that was like $28, and it's just all you could eat. Yes. And it was absolutely wild. And the food was so good. They just had churros, Rob. You could just order
that's awesome.
Non-stop churros.
Really?
Endless churros?
I was like, man, this is too sweet, because there was so much cinnamon sugar on those churros. I found a neat little Neapolitan pizza place that was pretty good.
Okay.
I think the really big breakout success for me was in Chinatown, which is just on the other side of the convention center. There is a small bar in this weird mall/club thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very loud in there, but there's a bar at the very backside of it that does Japanese street food and like tea-infused liquor and stuff. And so you could get like an Earl Grey tequila and like an oolong bourbon and stuff. Crazy. And I was just like, oh man, it was delicious.
Okay.
I know you guys don't drink, but whoo boy, it was fantastic. I went there night one. The bartender was really nice. Drank like half the menu. Was like, this is tasty. Stumbled back home with my friends. Went there night two again because I was like, let me just finish the menu. I may as well. And did that, and it was phenomenal. But there was a lot of good food there. There was a lot of places that I did not expect. Like I tried mussels for the first time. They were in this sort of like spicy curry sauce.
And how'd you like it?
It's okay.
That seems pretty out of the box for Matt.
It is very out of the box. Texture-wise and taste-wise and everything.
So here's the thing. I never really chewed through it completely. I just kind of chewed it like it was a piece of gum like 2 or 3 times just to say that I had chewed it and then swallowed it, and it was fine.
Nice.
So I was just like, okay, cool. But the sauce it was in was just like, oh boy, that was so good. They like spicy curry sauce. Oh, man. Top notch.
Best cheese at PAX?
Oh, best cheese at PAX. Okay, so there's a place in the Reading Terminal Market, right? So they got a lot of cheese in the Reading Terminal Market because it's a farmer's market. But there's a place in there, like in the sort of...
Real quick, I'm just so happy you actually have an answer for this.
It's like in the middle, but kind of off to the upright a bit.
Yeah.
That had deep fried cheese curds. And these things are like my obsession because you can't find them here, and if you do, they're not. So anytime I find them any place that's like north of the Mason-Dixon line, I'm like, we're here, yay!
The land of the cheese curds.
They were great. That was literally what I was eating on my drive home. I bought a pound of cheese curds from them and then brought them home so that I could make my own. But yeah, man. Oh no, I didn't go eat at Pat's Orginos. Sorry.
Are those pizza places or Philly places?
Yeah,
cheesesteaks.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually didn't eat a cheesesteak. I know it's a bit sacrilegious to be in Philly and not eat cheesesteak,
but see, I think you would like that though. It's like meat and cheese.
It's got onions though.
You don't do onions at all?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Not really. I like onion flavor. I don't like onion. Texture.
Just walk in there. Listen, I'm Matt. No onions. Shades of the mind.
Man.
No onions.
Awesome.
But,
so now you've been to several different conventions. Like, if you had to choose one that was your favorite or one that you would most want to go back to, what do you think your convention of choice would be?
Oh man, that's
because Gen Con is intense and it's mostly like a buying convention. But PAX Unplugged seems like you have some stuff that you can buy, but then also have plenty of like gameplay space.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna be right back. Keep talking. I gotta get some more fuel.
Cool.
Okay. Rob's gonna run to the gas station. Yeah. No, I don't. That's a really tough question because I like Gen Con because there's more variety of stuff to look at and prospectively buy. So from a consumer
everyone is there.
Everybody's there. So from a consumer perspective, Gen Con is like stellar. But like, I sent you guys a text and I said PAX Unplugged to me feels like it's, especially since it's brand new, it like threads that line between being something super huge like Gen Con where you got all this cool stuff to look at and then sort of a more small intimate con where you've got all these free play tables and people are super friendly and they're coming up and talk to you. Like I played several games with just random people I'd never met before. And it was just like, hey, it's pretty neat. It's great. So, I mean, I'd probably say PAX Unplugged, although Philadelphia kind of has a weird smell because their sewer system is about as old as the country. But it's not always there. But when it is, it's not great. But yeah, the city itself super cool. The hotel we stayed at was like 2 blocks from the convention center. It was literally beside City Hall. So there was just so much stuff to do in that city.
That's awesome.
And I feel like it's a bit more compact than Indianapolis. Because in Indy, I felt like if I wanted something crazy, I was going to need to walk a ways. And it felt like with Philly, it was just like
around the corner.
Yeah, like
you had everything at your fingertips.
Really pushing it, yeah.
That's awesome.
I got lost on Saturday because I was like, I'm just gonna go eat breakfast by myself. So I was walking around, went to the breakfast place that I wanted to go to. It was like a half-mile away. The line was out the door, on all the tables and all of the sidewalk outside of the front of the building. So I was just like, okay, no. Let me go find some other place. And then I'm just walking around through Philly, just looking at different things, tucking down alleyways and just trying to explore. I lost track of where I was for a while because I refused to utilize the Google app on my phone. Because I was like, no, it'll be fine. I'll navigate through sheer force of will. And it was not working for me. But, yeah.
Did anybody come up to you while you were in an alleyway and just tell you that it was meant to be and that they needed to hug on you?
Not this time. I did, however, on the second night of drinking at that bar, meet a very nice fella who was there with his friends, and he was hanging out. No. And he was like, man, you know what, man? This is pretty good, man. And so he was taking shots with the bartender and his friends, and we were talking, and I'm like, okay, cool, man. This is pretty good. And then he was just like, man, you know what? Here you go. He handed me a shot glass. So we started taking shots. We drank like 5 bottles of sake. I don't know how I got back to the hotel room, if I'm being completely honest.
Bottles?
I somehow got. Yeah.
And Matt never came back from Philadelphia.
So here's the thing, man. I drank a lot that night, and I was alone. And then I walked back to the hotel room. And then
do you need a chaperone, Matt?
So I turned around, and then somehow managed to go back out and find a pizza place that still served pizza at 2:30 in the morning, get pizza, and stumble back to the hotel room. It was fantastic. It was great.
That's major cities for you. Like New York, never sleeps. Philly, it's also a huge city, I would imagine. Yeah, they have pizza and all that stuff all night.
So nothing too drug-induced, but definitely some interesting times with random folks.
Speaking of alcohol,
yeah.
So, and I'll get into it a little bit later, but long story short, I was free last Thursday. My schedule cleared up, and Mark Kale was like, "Somebody please come play games with me. Somebody please, I'm all alone. I'm just all alone. Please come play games." He put posts out on Craigslist, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and all that stuff. So I felt terrible for him. Like, everybody's leaving me, please. And so I actually drove down to Charlotte. And yeah, I just took off, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. Let's go. I took off, and I went down to Charlotte, and Mark Kale's there, and we're playing at this board game store. It's called Carolina Table Exchange, I think.
Okay.
Carolina Table something. Mark, if you're in chat, just let us know the name of the store. No, it's a board.
You can swap tables out for other tables.
It's a board game store, but they have beer on tap. So you can get Doritos and beer. Like, all right. Like their foods or snacks. You can get Doritos or other snacks and stuff like that. And then they have like 6 beers on tap, and then a fridge full of beers, and then sodas and stuff. Carolina Tabletop Games. That's what it is. I'm not a drinker or anything, but I was like, man, what a great idea. Because a lot of the board gamers have grown up. Like, they want to play games and they want to have a drink. And I was like, Matt would love this place. They had a fantastic selection of games. And they had several tables laid out. And, like, Mark was there. And he started to drink to kind of compensate for how bad he was feeling because we were just wrecking him. But, I mean, he was able to fill a big tab and stuff like that. And we just had a blast. It was just a really good time. I was just like, I've never seen a board game store with beer on tap before, but the more I think about it, for that type of atmosphere, whatever, it kind of makes sense, you know, because not everybody's going to be like me, and a lot of people do like to drink, and I was like, wow, this is just a great idea. And for those that are asking, we played Ashes that night. For those that have not heard us talk about Ashes, we've had Isaac on the show in the past. So we've talked a lot about Ashes, but it was awesome. Oh, it was so much fun. I got to play with Mark and some of his friends. Really went in I had a great time. It kind of like refired the fire for me because I've been wanting to play, and that's why I would drive an hour plus just to beat Mark. And listen, when I say I beat Mark, Matt, have you ever played Magic?
Yeah.
Okay, you know how like you have different rounds on Magic?
Sure.
My first turn on round 2 is when I killed Mark.
The first action?
The first action, round 2.
Was he playing with a Phoenixborn with 5 life?
No, he was not.
How did it get this bad?
He was terrible. He was absolutely terrible. And then I love the excuses that started to flow after it. But it made me feel so great. Next time I'm having a bad day, I'm texting Mark, bro, let's play some Ashes.
Just uplift your spirits.
I left that place just feeling so good about myself. Like, that was such a great experience.
How many guys did you guys have playing Ashes there?
It's so good.
Well, there's just like 4 or 5 of us. It was a small little group. Like on Thursday nights, they do LCG night or whatever. There's other guys playing Legends of the Five Rings. There's some people doing an RPG or D&D with their RPG stuff. There were some people playing Mansions. Like, it was a pretty good crowd there. I would say there was like maybe 15 plus people there playing. We played for a couple of hours. But we had a really great time, but it was so bad. Man, Mark just got wrecked so bad. And it made me feel so good. Because, like, when I got there, he's talking smack like, oh, man, you drove all the way down to see me. That's so cute. Oh, you drove all the way down here to come hang out with me. Man, you must be really desperate, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, okay, I was just being nice. Like, sure, man, I'm just excited. I'm in a place, never been here before. Let me get to know how crazy these people are before I start talking smack. I didn't have to say anything. He just sucks that bad at Ashes that it just
poor Mark.
Completely wrecked him. He doesn't suck. I like Mark. He's a lot of fun. I know I give him a hard time. I give him a hard time because actually I really enjoy Mark and his company. He's a fun guy. He's a good guy. But seriously, anybody, if you're ever having a bad day, play board games with Mark Kale. You will feel so much when you're said and done.
Nice.
And my meta, Mark, see, he's talking smack, a little bit smack. My meta that I was playing with is old.
Aggro.
But it's old.
Yeah. Mark has the new cards, too. That's the thing.
See, here's the thing. I have all the new cards, but my deck, I'm still playing with the deck from last year's Gen Con. Like, it's been that long since I've really played the game. And so he's already gone through the cards. He's played a couple games with the new cards.
And by last year's, he doesn't mean this most recent one. He means the one before that.
2016. 2016. And so, yeah, it's not this new meta or anything like that. It's just, and anyway, it was so bad, Roy, it was so bad. Like, I couldn't help but start laughing.
I mean, I know the deck that you have. It's like tons of direct damage, tons of aggro to your face as fast as possible.
A single thing to stop me. Like, everything just worked out perfectly, and I just attacked and hit every single time.
Brennan's not a joke.
But anyway, now I went through all of my Ashes stuff. I've got so much Ashes. I'm probably going to teach Lee and his daughter how to play Ashes.
I saw the picture you're posting of your thing.
Yeah, I've got everything in that box now.
It's awesome.
Anyway, Mark Hale, you're the greatest. I'm excited to come play with you guys again.
Well, I guess we'll continue to talk about what we've been playing. Matt, do you want to do one, or should I talk about a game?
Do you just want to like rattle them off one at a time?
I'll talk about a game. I played Polaris with or Pulsar, something like that. This is the new Czech Games Edition game, a space game. Where it is basically like dice drafting. You roll a bunch of dice and then you take turns drafting some of them, and then you're using those dice to try to go and explore different planet things to get special actions, and then set up basically like you're trying to gather energy from these pulsar things. And then you're also trying to just like get technology. Like, you can spin your dice that you drafted to do several different things. There's several different paths to get experience points. But basically, you draft the dice, and that you can either use those dice to move your ship that many spaces. You can use those dice to create these things where you're trying to gain, like, it's called like a gyrodyne or whatever, where you're trying to collect energy from the pulsars. or you can use the dice to get energy, or you can use the dice to build these satellite things that can give you extra dice for actions. And it's just this Euro-y game with a space theme where there's all sorts of different branching ways to get victory points, but you're trying to figure out how to best do it. If you build these Gyrodyne things, they'll give you victory points at the end of each turn. So what I did is I built like one of them really early, and then I just continued to build them. And then I did several other things that helped me get a bunch of victory points. I was playing with our friend Trevor, which we talk about on the show all the time. He was gracious enough to bring the game over. And I ended up like getting ahead in the points. But then because I had all these things that just gave me continuous points, I had also built up these little satellite things. So I had like a little engine going with them where I could turn these. You get artifact cubes that let you like take extra actions, or you can use them to pay for different things. So I had an engine going with this thing where I was getting points. I had all these things on the board getting points, and it was a lot of fun. It's definitely very, I mean, the theme is flying around space and doing all this stuff, but it's very much just like doing the mechanics of like the area controlling and stuff like that. But it felt really fun, and it's really, really well done. It's a game that I would actually like to play again, and that was Pulsar. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I know it's like brand new from Chex Games Edition, but very interesting little dice drafting game.
So I was looking it up. Does it have like a big circular board with like a bunch of like weird little star connections? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yes.
It's got like a number after it. It's like Pulsar something something.
2849.
Cool. So Pulsar 2849. It's cool. When you draft the dice, there's like, it's kind of interesting because you roll all the dice and then players take turns. It's just 6-sided dice. You're just trying to get 5s or 6s, and the 5s and 6s are more valuable because they let you move further and you can get better stuff with them. But sometimes you need the smaller one to be able to fulfill different things you're trying to do. So it's very interesting because when you draft the dice, it'll move your ships up and down like an initiative track to see who gets to pick first next turn. He gets to take their turn first in future turns. Or there's ones where you can go higher or lower and get more of those artifact cubes that allow you to take more actions and are kind of used to multiply your points at the end of the game. So I had several things locked down, and I was just happy to like do good in a game versus Trevor the first time I played it, and he had played it like 2 times before, so made me happy. But it's pretty fun little dice drafting game from Chex Games Edition. They make good games.
Yeah.
Good times.
Sweet.
Man, did you get to play any games at PAX Unplugged? I hope so.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. I mean, I played a few.
I want to hear about one of them, too.
About one of them. Is there a particular one you want to hear about?
Rising Sun. You finally got to play.
Oh, yeah. That was... Okay, so...
Yeah,
it was a very strange game of Rising Sun because I sat down thinking that me and the guys who were playing thought that there were going to be 5 players because it was set up for 5 players.
Huh.
But I go and sit down in front of the final board and find out that there are no pieces. So they're like, oh, weird. So we asked one of the cool mini guys because the guys at the table are not cool mini guys. They've just sat down because they have played this game a ton and are literally just following it around to play it some more because they are avid fans. So
that is pretty avid if you're going to follow a game.
Well, hopefully they let you sit at a place with pieces if they played it that many times.
Well, what ended up happening was me and one of the other guys just sort of like shared control. So he was basically walking me through the stuff that you could do and all the different actions and stuff like that. And so we were going over kind of how the game plays. And so he was giving me basically like a step-by-step explanation and along with like his reasoning for why he would do this over that. And it was really interesting. It was an interesting way to learn a game, I suppose, because I was basically like we were pilot and co-pilot. So we were trying to like Jaeger, if I can use that as a verb, like Jaeger one particular faction together. So it was pretty good. I felt like out of what I saw and what I played, it's going to be very fun. I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it, but I think I'm going to like Blood Rage a little bit better.
Really?
Really?
Yes. And I think that was just for some odd reason for me the way the action system worked, where it's like you choose what you want to do and you set that tile down.
Yeah.
And then
I liked it
goes
because
off
there's a lot of
everybody.
negotiation with your ally when you're picking those tiles too. You're like, well, I could draft this and it'll help us both out in this way, but I really need you to draft this, and then they have that chance to just draft the betrayal and just completely screw you too. So
True.
I feel like there's a
didn't
lot
really
more
see-
interaction in Rising
Yes,
Sun than there is in Blood
for
Rage.
sure.
A lot more interaction. Like, you can directly affect people way more intensely.
I definitely think it'll be something fun to play with you guys, because since these guys had played it a decent amount, they had a general idea of what cards were good, and so it was still very fun. Yeah. I mean, it was still fun. It was still awesome. I got to play with a lot of the monsters and stuff, which is like,
Did you get to see how the combat works?
Yes. I like it. It's different.
It definitely is different.
But it's like it's basically sort of like Cry Havoc with like a combat system that goes in like a unilateral direction, and
but you also do it secretly, unlike Cry Havoc, which is really cool.
And you also do it with money and not your soldiers, because if you lose, they're all gone.
And the loser gets whatever money you bid. So if you bid tons of money, then it helps them out for the next round. So you might purposely lose a round, one battle, to try to gain money for the next battle. There's lots of interesting things in Rising Sun.
And we also only played the first sort of we played the spring season and then most of the summer season.
Oh, nice.
And I had to tuck out before the combat phase to go grab lunch. So, but yeah, it was a good time. And the version I was playing with was basically the retail production copy. Mm-hmm. So like all of the minis were in that hard plastic that we're used to from Cool Mini or not. Everything was sort of set up and colorized the way it would be coming out.
Yeah.
All of the cardboard pieces, were there. So I mean, us for the Kickstarter people, half that's going to be plastic anyway. But
I know. When I was playing that at Gen Con, I was just like, this game is so awesome and so beautiful with all this stuff, and it's going to be so much better when we get a hold of it, because there's going to be so many more minis and so much more plastic. Like, it's like, these cardboard tokens, they're plastic. These cardboard tokens, they're plastic. These cardboard tokens, they're plastic.
One thing I'm kind of concerned about, the coins are metal coins now, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. You had it. That was an optional buy.
Oh, I might have done that. I don't know.
I did everything but the art book.
I wonder if they get any bigger, because the ones I was playing with were kind of small.
Yeah.
And at the table at the convention was a little cramped to try and be, because I mean that's a big board and that's a lot of pieces, so we didn't really have a whole lot of space to work with. But yeah, no, that game's gonna be pretty good whenever it comes up.
Nice. Awesome.
I'm excited for it, and I'm excited that it's coming out sooner than later.
Awesome. Well, Rob, I know you played a couple other new games here super recently.
Well, how about you go, man? Because I already did Ashes in my beratement of Mark Cale, the same guy who doesn't know who anybody is at Mega MooseCon, that convention.
Well, another game that I got to play today, which was super awesome, I got to play Star Trek Ascendancy with one of the new factions and with the Borg expansion. So the Borg expansion allows you to play the game 1 or 2 players now. So normally, me and Trevor really enjoy Star Trek Ascendancy, but we were always limited to, like, you have to have 3 players or you can't play this game. You have to have 3 people. And we've actually played it with 2 players before, but we never really, like, ran into each other. We were just racing to see who got the Ascendancy first. Yeah. But now you can play with the Borg, and oh man, the Borg. So now there is a Borg like plant starting area, like the hub or whatever, where they start, and then each turn you'll be drawing cards and rolling dice to see if more cubes show up, and you'll be drawing cards, and they'll start building the space like web. One of the things I love about Ascendancy is how the planets like come out. Like you roll the dice and it's either a 2 through 4, and you put these little like space lanes out onto the board. They're like little like things that you put out, and the planets are just all connected throughout these, so it makes these like web of planets. But it'll say like, hey, go to the the Borg goes towards the home planet of like the first player. So the Borg's going towards the home planet of the first player, and then it might be like, okay, well, it goes towards the nearest starbase. So kind of like weave as it's like moving along. But you can also like randomly get encounters, and Borg will just pop up in these random encounters. And that's what happened is like on the second or third turn, the Borg came in and was attacking Trevor, and the Borg like start at full strength. Like it's like you need like a huge fleet to take them on. So it was terrifying, and it just like wiped out a whole bunch of Trevor's ships. And I'm like, oh man, that really sucks, Trevor. And I was like building up all my resources and building up all my things and getting everything sort of good. And Trevor's like, man, I just need to do all this stuff and try to figure it out. And I'm like, man, yeah, we need to figure out how to fight off the board. And I'm just trying to build up everything I have because I know they're coming for me too. And then I explored a planet and draw a card, and it made the cube that was attacking Trevor's stuff come over to my area instead. And then it started to wipe out all my stuff, and I would have been okay, but then it drew a card where it got to like attack twice in one turn and ended up wiping out my fleet and like just encroached all the way in on my home planet, and I was totally assimilated by the Borg. And there's rules in the game after you get knocked out by the Borg where you are now in control of the Borg and you control like the movements of the ships and stuff like that. And so the Borg has more of a mind to what it's doing, and you try to make the Borg wreck other people, and then you win the game if the Borg takes out the last person. So it's kind of interesting how you're like fighting as hard as you can against the Borg, and then then you end up trying to help them win. It's definitely interesting. Star Trek Ascendancy is definitely a very random, chaotic 4X game, but it was a lot of fun. I would definitely take a lot different approach, and this Borg expansion definitely adds
a must.
It adds a real threat in there, and it makes the game feel completely different. Like you have to build up ships, and you have to figure out how to protect yourself immediately from the Borg, or you're just gonna get wiped out. So
that's good. I felt like when we played it, we were just very passive.
Yeah,
we were just like, find this, get this. All right, point. Find this, get this.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be interesting to play again.
Yeah, and it makes it so the game isn't necessarily cooperative, but it is cooperative because you don't really want the Borg to take out your opponents either. You want the Borg to like be fought back and different stuff like that. It also goes around. If it gets to planets where there's like pre-warp cultures on it or whatever, it'll start building these nodes, which will end up producing more Borg cubes and also make them like harder to hit in combat. So it's just like bad all the way around. So you're just working together to try to like not lose to the Borg, but then also trying to build up your stuff enough to where you can win. But yeah, definitely super interesting and super exciting. It's definitely like, I don't have the Ferengi and Cardassians. I was playing as the Cardassians, and they're a hard race to play. But it was pretty fun. But I actually think I would like grab the Borg before I grab those if I wasn't trying to like play with a higher player count. It actually makes it so you can play the game with a lower player count. It makes it so you can play the game solo if you want, and then just have to fight against the Borg coming in trying to kill you before you can actually get to your ascendancy, which could happen. So, but it was a lot of fun. So that's the Borg expansion. It's like Borg assimilation from Gale Force 9 for the Star Trek Ascendancy game. But I totally want to play it with 3 players where the Borg starts in the middle and everybody's trying to fight them off. Be a lot of fun.
Well, sweet.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, I played a couple games. I'll talk about the old game, but it's the first time I've ever played it. I finally played Memoir 44. And if you're a Battle Lore fan, like if you like the color, what do they call it? The original, the Move My Color command stuff in Battle Lore took over. We have your different
Command and colors.
Command and colors. Thank you for the help. It is one of those systems. It's a lot of fun. It was very simple. I'm a history guy. I like history. And so I bought this game a long time ago. I just never got it to the table. And then I got Lee, my best friend, came into town. They're here for the holidays. And I was like, hey, man, I need to play this. It's 2-player. And we had a blast playing it.
Yeah.
Man, Memoir 44 is you are reliving the history of World War II. And we just did the very first scenario, the very first game. It's very simple. I love the combat in the game. It's dice. And the dice is very simple, where it's like, if you roll a grenade or if you roll a rifle guy, you can kill a rifle. If you roll a tank, you can kill a tank. And so it's very generic on what you can do. And if you miss and if you do anything else like that, it's not difficult at all. But it was a lot of fun. I love the minis. I felt like a little kid again. As soon as we pulled them all out and I saw all these little army men, I took myself back to when I was like 10 years old playing in the backyard with all these army men. So I had an absolute blast. I'll probably play again with Lee before they leave, but we're trying to play a bunch of games while they're here. But we're having a great time. So Memoir 44. I think your dad would really like this game, Roy. It's not too crazy where you need necessarily analysis paralysis, but it's not too simple either. The only thing that I don't like about this game, and it reminded me of why I didn't like Battlelore so much, is the cards, because it has the command cards.
Very limiting on where you can attack and what you can do, right?
Correct. Like this one
That's
mission
the system. That is what it is.
All of my guys were in the middle, and so I started off with 6 cards. All of my guys were in the middle or to the left, and 4 of my 6 cards were moving guys on the right, and then doing an artillery strike. And we didn't have any artillery, and I didn't have anybody on the right. And so I had 1 card that I could play.
Yep.
And so the first couple turns, I had to go through other cards or waste those cards to be able to do this.
Does it have the same thing where you can command like 1 unit, and if you discard the card, like if you're like okay,
it had that on some of the equipment.
Gotcha.
Like on the artillery, there was another artillery card that came out that said you could move to artillery, or if you don't have artillery, you can just command 1 unit of any place. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. I still enjoyed it. I just don't like that one aspect of the cards, because it's like
that's literally the system
are on the left,
that is
and I don't get
command
any
and colors.
left cards. I can't do anything.
That's what it's known for, is that right, center, left flank, and sometimes like you really want your units very evenly spread out, and hopefully you get an even spread of the cards. That's the exact same way Battlelore is. It's like you got to try to utilize what you can and try to utilize them evenly, because if you go too heavy on one side, you're just going to run out of steam, you know?
Well, and I didn't even try to go too heavy. We set up the scenario based off of how they told you to set it up in the book.
All lefts, and you had nobody in the left flank.
Yeah, we did the scenario, and so then after we shuffled the cards and drew our cards,
that's what you got.
I just got lucky to get a bunch of cards that I couldn't use.
I think games like that, you have to just go in with a casual mindset, you know. Sometimes,
and I did, and I had a blast. I had a good time, but it was just a little frustrating, but not enough for me not to play the game. The other thing that I don't like about it is that it took me so long to play this game, because I could see myself getting more expansions, but they're hard to get your hands on nowadays.
Yeah, I know they have an Overlord expansion for it, so you know the way we played Battlelore with the 3 people on each side? There's like an official version for Memoir 44, which is the same thing.
Yeah, I see it at cons all the time, especially they do the D-Day invasion that way.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a blast. For those that like that type of system, I think you'll really enjoy the game. That was Memoir 44.
Awesome. Matt, you got another game that you played?
Yeah. I'm going to talk a bit about this game called Tokyo Jukaku.
Oh, nice.
Jukaku?
I think I saw pictures of this.
Okay. So
Jukaku.
I don't know. Jukatu. I'll leave it to people who are better at pronunciation than I am. This game was at the Kickstarter booth and hasn't even come out on Kickstarter yet.
Gotcha.
The basis for this game.
Pretty sure that one ended, didn't it?
Bro.
Did it?
It took all my money. All right, quick side note. So my wife found out that I spent that money.
Uh-huh.
And, okay, so
This is your biggest Kickstarter ever, right?
I went really heavy in on this game. When it's all said and done, close to $500.
Holy smokes. He just said that live on the air.
Well, she knows now.
Yeah, but everybody else doesn't know.
I spent $440 on the game, and then after you do shipping, which is an additional $30, and then taxes, I'll be around, let's say, between $475 and $500. So anyway, sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt.
No.
But So my wife found out, and I was asking her like, "Oh, what do you want for Christmas?" Blah blah blah. She was like, "Well, I'm gonna get what I want." I said, "Sure, babe. Yeah, you can go to everyone." She was like, "Oh, I saw what you spent on games." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Oh, I saw what you spent on games." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "I saw your Kickstarter." I was like, "Oh, you saw that? Yeah. Okay, yeah, you saw my Kickstarter." She's like, "I hope you enjoy them." And she keeps saying plural, and I'm not correcting her. Well, then my stupid friend who I love to death is upstairs, and he's talking to me about the Kickstarter, and he's like, "Man, you're really gonna enjoy that game." She was like, "Yeah, he got all these games on Kickstarter." So we're all sitting down having coffee.
Oh no!
And he's like, "All these games? What are you talking about?" She was like, "Yeah, he just spent all this money on all these games on Kickstarters." And I'm giving him the look, but he's not looking at me. But I'm looking at him.
Lee needs to throw you a bone, man.
Right, and he's like, "Marlo,
doesn't he know the code?"
Marlo, that was one game. What? She turns her head, looks at me. What are you talking about? That was one game. And then he's like, "Don't worry about it. He's gonna turn around and sell it as soon as it comes in." Blah blah blah. I've only done that one time. But then after, just Robert Newman, you spent all on one game. Never doing that again. So yeah, now the cat's out of the bag.
It wasn't Kingdom Death Monster. That's probably more expensive.
It was.
It was. But I'm only safe because we have company in town. If we did not have company in town, I don't even think I'd be on this podcast right now.
But also, you're in more trouble because there's company in town. So.
Yeah.
Well, no, I told her she could go. Like today, she went shopping with her friend, Lee's wife, and stuff like that. And I love the whole family too. And so I just think like the more I can get her to spend, the less she'll forget that I spent on this one game. So anyway, sorry, Matt.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say, speaking of expensive games, Cthulhu Realms had a booth at
Realms or Wars?
Wars, sorry. Yeah, Realms is a tiny game.
My friend Dustin had a game day for Cthulhu Wars, and I really wanted to go because I had so much fun playing it last time. But yeah, that game's great, but it's really expensive. It feels very Blood Ragey too.
I was gonna sit down and demo it, and
you would love it.
They were like, "Yeah." They were like, "Yeah, man, it should take like another 15 minutes before they're done here." And I was like, "Okay, I'll just walk around and come back." And I came back after 15 minutes, and they were like still playing. And the guy's like, "All right, guys, time's a ticking here a minute. We'll just wrap it up." And I think I stood there for like 4 minutes, and I was like, "I'm not waiting on these people."
Yeah,
I was like, "Nah."
I think it's a game that you would really like, but it's an expensive one.
It is. I saw they had a Kickstarter a couple of months ago for the new expansion.
Yeah,
and I was like,
keep doing Kickstarters for brand. Together? Oh man,
it was like $750 to get everything, and I was like,
"For what?
For the Kickstarter, maybe not for everything for the game entirely."
What game?
Cthulhu Wars.
Oh yeah, no, that game is over $1,000 if you try to get everything.
I mean, that was the Kickstarter price. That I don't know what their everything on that Kickstarter included, but it was literally
include the old
that
stuff,
expansion
then.
Plus the base, and then some of the old expansions.
Gotcha. Yeah, it gets pretty intense like back in the day because I know my friend Dustin spent at least 15 on it.
And
that was like the first Kickstarter.
They were selling the base there for like 170 or something, which is
not bad.
pretty high.
You can get the base on cool stuff for I think like 150 right now. Like it's literally on cool stuff right now. You might want to check it. It's around that, something like that.
Okay.
I remember seeing it and be like, "Oh man, that price isn't that bad," but I'm still way too broke.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But anyway, back to a Tokyo game.
Yes, I definitely want to hear about this.
So I literally passed by the Kickstarter booth. There were some people playing Secret Hitler on the other side. I was just like, "Oh, cool!" And then I saw people playing this little game, and I sat down, or I watched them play it for a while because it involves blocks, and I am a kindergartner at heart and love blocks.
Yes, blocks are awesome.
Yeah, blocks are great, man. We should go back to blocks. We need to play with blocks more often.
Jump cart.
Yeah, seriously. But so they left, I sat down, and the guy explained how this game works to me. And basically, there are, I believe, 16 or 20-ish tiles that are all representative of incredibly subdivided property lots in Japan because they subdivide things into really weird shapes because they're like, actually, I need this corner over here so I can do this or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you end up with these tiny lots that have these incredibly strange shapes. So each of the cards that are laid out are one of these strange shapes. And your task as a player is to be a Japanese architect and to build a house in one of these incredibly subdivided lots. Now, it doesn't have to completely fill up the lot itself, but it has to remain inside of that lot thing, and then, or like the outline of the property. And so the card itself will give you a certain stipulation that it has to use maybe 5 blocks or 7 blocks or 10 blocks, and it has to be so many floors tall. So it might be, it might have to be 3 stories or 5 stories. I think I saw one of them that was like 6. Mm-hmm. And then if you complete it, you get a certain amount of yen for completing your project. Now, the caveat is that all of the blocks are super weird. They're very strangely shaped. And so when you're placing them, all the blocks, they have to touch on one full side. Or not necessarily a full side, but like sides have to touch pretty. You can't have like corner to corner contact. Like you actually have to have side to side contact. Yes. And if you're putting a block over, you can't have any overhangs. So you can't have any like cantilever structures or anything like that. It has to all sort of kind of go up. So I sat down. I was like, okay, well, let's play this. And then there's another kicker in that it's a timed dexterity game, basically, because you and all the other people have all the blocks in front of you. And when you start, you say, I want to start with this project, and you put a little token down on that project. And so once everybody picks their project, they say go. And everybody is scrambling for all these blocks in the middle of this thing. And you can only pick up one block at a time. So you're trying to move it and position it. And you're like, okay, cool. I think that's cool.
Oh, dang, it's real time.
This block. Yeah. So you're shuffling through it, trying to be the first one to complete your house. And it's super crazy. It's super cool. And the thing is, when you get done with it, a lot of times you've made a really cool looking little house. Like it's really wild and it's neat, and it has this really good, I don't know, architectural feel to it. So like to me personally, it's just like, it's so good. I was just like, okay, I think it was probably my favorite game that I played while I was there. It's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think it comes out on Kickstarter. I think he said January 6th.
Nice.
But I had an absolute blast with it. And then the thing is, once a round's over and somebody wins, your little token denotes kind of where you can go. So you could move up to 2 other projects away on this grid, or you could keep the same one if you didn't finish it. And so it kind of also has this interesting mechanic where you're like, okay, well, hang on, what's he picking? So the guy who won picks first, and then it goes clockwise where everybody else picks their stuff. So you can kind of be like, all right, is he picking an easy one? Is he picking a hard one? Let me figure out what I need to do to kind of counteract that. And the first person to 4 completed house plans is the winner. Or not the winner, but that's what triggers the end game, and you total up all the cost of your rewards for completing houses at the end of the game.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun.
It seems like it's right up your alley too, with all the architecture and like building. I'm like, when I saw you posted a picture of this on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, that looks really neat and really cool. And I'm like, that looks like a game that Matt would like. I'm glad he's playing that.
I sat down and I was just like, oh yeah, no, this is me for days. This is so good.
If anybody doesn't know, Matt likes to like draw up house plans.
Yeah, just in my spare time. So like that game was like my oeuvre almost. It was just so good. I was like, ooh.
That's awesome.
But yeah. So yeah, Tokyo Jukaku, I don't know. It's in the show notes.
Nice.
Or on my Instagram, whatever you're.
Shades of the Mind. Awesome. I got to play another game. I actually played this like last week. This is a crazy game called Meeple Circus. This is a game where you have a little ring. Have you seen this, Matt? I think you and Rob would love this game. Basically, it is a game where you each turn you're going to be. You start with several different meeples, like a red meeple and a blue meeple, and then there's going to be like rules for like how to gain points off of these meeples. But then you're going to take turns drafting new types of meeples. So you can get meeples of like goats and like barrels and elephants and like planks and things like that. And then there will be, you'll like draft a couple of these like each round. And then there will be scorecards out that show these meeples in sort of like different positions. And if you can get your meeples, if you draft the correct meeples and get your meeples in the positions of those, you'll get specific points off of it. And then after everybody drafts in real time, there's a timer app that has like circus music that's like dun 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 dun, and you have to set your stuff up in real time to make it match some of the different things. And the blue meeples, if they're on the bottom and holding something up, they're like the strong men. You get a point for that. And then there are yellow meeples, which are like your acrobats, and you want those guys not touching the ground because you get a point for that. And then there's different things, like sometimes if you have like a goat laying on its back with a ball on its legs with a guy standing on top of it, you'll get like extra points. Or if you have people carrying a plank, you'll get extra points. Or if you have somebody standing on a barrel, you'll get extra points. There's all sorts of different things that could give you extra points depending on what's currently out there. And then you can also draft these red meeples, which the higher they are from the ground, you get more points. And then there's like a little measuring stick, which gives you like a different thing. So you're trying to stack really high to get these guys to give you points. But you're doing this all in real time simultaneously. Mm-hmm. So it works really fast. Then after everybody's done, if you run out of time and your things fall over, then you just score whatever you have and it kind of stinks. But if you have your stuff set, if you grab the first player marker, then you get like an extra point or whatever for like grabbing the thing and finishing your stuff quicker. Then you score up the points. Whoever's in last place gets to, I think they get to pick first like next time, and then they also get to pick one of the point scoring cards and get rid of them, like change it out. So that way you're not doing specific things. Then you do another round of it, and you draft more meeples, so you have more people to put in your little circus, and you score from that. And then you do a third one, and the third round is played differently, because in the third round, you get special character meeples, which will be like, oh, you have a clown that has to do some specific thing, or you get like a seal. They all have very specific setups to get points with them. Mm-hmm. But then also, you can draft these specific action things you have to do. Like one will be like, oh, you can only place with one hand, and if you succeed in doing that, then you get extra points. Or like each time you drop a meeple, you have to be like, you have to say, oh, it hurts so bad, it hurts so bad. Or each meeple you place out, you have to create a backstory for as you place them. Or each time the music claps, you have to stand up and bow. Like there's all these different things you could draft depending on what's out there that make it more difficult. But during this round, you don't do it simultaneously. Everybody watches you do it as you perform your circus by yourself, and you're doing all these crazy tasks. So the first few rounds are like the warm-up, and then the last round, everybody watches you solely and slightly heckles you as you're trying to set it up. And it's very quick playing because there's so much simultaneous action. You're just drafting meeples and setting them up. It's very fun it's just silly fun. And you gain points, and you're trying to figure out how to stack them up perfectly. If you ever played a game of Catan or Carcassonne or anything where you're stacking the meeples up, that's basically what they took and turned into an actual game, and it's a lot of fun. So I think this game would be right up both you guys' alley.
Yeah.
And I think you can play a bunch of people simultaneously, and it works really good for a quick game. So yeah, that is Meeple Circus, a brand new game. I think it just came out of Essen. So
next up is the sequel Terror in Meeple Circus.
That's the one where you set up all the circus people, and then you have
somebody else comes in.
You have the rampage characters coming in and destroying the circus.
Oh man,
perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, somebody keep going. I just had some pop up with work, but you guys are doing great. I'm listening to everything. I love it.
Do you want to go again, Roy, or you want me to go?
The only one I have left is the game that me and Rob played together.
Okay, then I will go. So I played a game called Here Kitty Kitty. Sounds weird, is weird. It is a game about hoarding cats. basically, you have a small board in front of you that has your yard, your porch, and the inside of your house. And then collectively in the middle of the table is a pile of cat minis. And you have these hands of cards that allow you to do certain things. But you have different actions you can take. So your actions during a turn would be you can discard cards to draw up to your max hand size. You can take and move a cat from the neighborhood, which is like the middle of the table, into your yard. Or move any cat one space up. So you can go from your yard to your porch, or your porch to your house. And basically, it's really weird. For some odd reason, you and all of your neighbors live in this neighborhood full of cats. And I mean literally full of cats. Like, there's like 30 to 40 cat minis in this game. It is crazy. And so we were playing it 4 players. So it's basically the 4 of us were trying to compete to see who could have the most cats. Just period. We just wanted to have the most cats. So this is... For each cat in your house, it's 5 points. For each cat on your porch, it's 3 points. For each cat in your yard, they are worthless because you don't own them at that point. They're just there in your yard, and that's not. You need to collect them. You need to keep them inside and safe.
Is this a game or is this real life for you, Matt?
No, dude, I'm allergic to cats.
But you're not allergic to cat meeples, or were
absolutely not?
Were they plastic?
They were like
or were they
plastic.
meeples?
Yeah, they were actually like plastic. I was surprised. I was like, all right. I just expected them to be like little wooden dockets or whatever. But yeah, there's like other scoring things. Like I think you get like 10 points if you have the most of the same color cat, or if you have only the same color cat in your house. You get like 5 points if you have the most of one color. There's 4 colored cats. There's red, gray, white, and orange. If you have one set of 4, you get 5 points.
How do you move the cats from the different locations?
So you can take an action, and one action, you get 2 actions on your turn. So for one action, you could take a cat from the big pile in the middle of the table, colloquially known as the neighborhood, and move it into your yard. Or you could, for one action, move it up from your yard to your porch, or for 2 actions, move it from your yard to your house, or for one action, porch to house, whatever. You can play cards from your hand. Some of them count as actions, some of them count as interrupts. So you have this like almost very weird sort of Wiz War feel.
What?
Where it's just like you're sitting there and you're like, all right, I play can opener. I take a cat out of everyone else's yard and put it in my yard, or put it on my porch. And people are just like, man, that's dumb. And then somebody's like, no, here's what I do. I play this counter where it's like it puts the cat in like a plush bed for a round. So like you just don't get to steal it or something. And it's like...
So it has like responses and counter spells, basically.
It's
cat counter spells.
It's really wild. It played like in 20 minutes, and like I was looking at it like, I don't think I'm gonna like this game, but it's a pretty cute, fun little filler game where you're just like, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna play this card. I'm gonna try to steal this cat, and people are like over there adopting cats and like putting up cats in like a foster home.
So
I put in an alarm system.
It is a take that cat game, literally.
Yeah,
like you're literally trying to take that cat.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, 100%. Like one of my favorite things was like somebody was like, and I play the fireworks card, and everybody's cats from all of the yards go back into the neighborhood because they just ran away because of the fireworks. And I was like, holy crap, this game is cutthroat. It is intense. Like it is like, man, I was thinking, okay, it's gonna be a cute little game, cute little fun. Everything will be fine. It'll be okay.
The only way I would ever play this game is if they had the expansion where you go from the yard to the porch to the house, and then you put them in the oven after that. Then I would play the game. You get extra points if you get the cats in the oven.
Yeah, man, it's I don't know. It's really neat. I can't say that I could recommend it for everybody. But I went into it thinking, oh, this isn't going to be me at all. And it was all right. So, and no, Darth, I played this entirely sober.
Is this a published game?
All the more interesting. Yeah, I think. Let me see if I can.
What's the name of it?
It's called Here Kitty Kitty. And it's literally, the box says, A Crazy Cat Collecting Game by Chris McCardle Ware.
Nice.
But I don't see a publisher on the box. So yeah, I played that game. That game was crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's basically what you would expect from a game about collecting cats.
Awesome.
Oh, it's published by Fireside Games.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they're pretty big.
Yeah. 3 to 6 players, ages 10 and up. Yay.
Awesome. Well, I guess I'm going to talk about Streets of Arkham some. We got a chance to play one of the scenarios in it, but Streets of Arkham is the new expansion for Mansions of Madness. This adds 4 new characters and then adds 4 new monster types, and then adds 3 new scenarios. Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition, you use an application. We've talked about it a ton on the show to do the to run the scenario for you as you go through it, and you get to explore the tiles as it goes along, and it can randomly set up different maps for you, and you have different outcomes with all the Mansions of Madness puzzles and things like that the game's known for. But I thought it was pretty awesome. It adds 3 new spell types, a whole bunch more insanity cards, some cards for just multiple cards for every single deck basically in there. But you also have new elixir cards, which can allow you to upgrade your stats. And there's also other ways in the game that they've now introduced where you can upgrade your stats. And this is a new thing to Mansions of Madness, because normally the stats that your character has is static. Now there'll be several points in the game or several things that can happen, which will allow you, or you'll get specific items or conditions that will allow you to upgrade one of your stats. And there's little tokens that represent each stat, and that means you get to roll 1 extra die on these checks. And normally the max amount you're really rolling is 4 or 5, so being able to add 1 to one of those stats is actually really good, because it just allows you to have better odds in succeeding in the things you need to succeed in. But yeah, there's 3 different scenarios we talked about a little bit. One is where you're in a laboratory type situation. That's going to use the more elixirs and stuff like that. The other one is in the streets, with the Streets of Arkham, where you have mob boss type guys or thug type characters, or I'm not exactly sure because I hadn't played that one yet. And then the last one is the one that we actually played so far. I'm planning on playing another one with my family this weekend, but we played the one where you are in a museum, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't really want to spoil any of it, but this game has several different ways it can be played. Some of the scenarios are very much more like information and puzzle solving, and other ones are more like go here, get this thing, then drop it off over there, but then fight a whole bunch of monsters along the way sort of scenarios. So there's several different styles of scenarios. We played the one that was super difficult, and at the beginning of the scenario it says, hey, get a piece of pen and paper and write down the information you learned during the scenario. And we did that, and we did very good bookkeeping, and it was still rough to figure out what was going on. We didn't figure out what was going on. We lost.
Okay.
But it was so funny. Man, it some of these ones that don't have as many monsters, the game just beats you down by making your character slowly go insane as terrible things happen through the narrative. Okay. And at the beginning of the game, we're passing out the items. We got starting items, and Rob got a Bible as one of his starting items, so he could cure sanity. There were several points in the game where we were all begging Rob to read the Bible to us so we wouldn't go insane. He didn't do it, by the way. He just let us all go insane. Every single one of us was insane except Rob. But it's because the game was throwing insanity on us super hard. I had a character. One of the new characters allows you to immediately cast a spell at the beginning of your turn. And I had a combat spell, so I could essentially attack 3 times in one round with the combat spell, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
Except you lose a lot of sanity that way, because normally these spells make you go insane. So it was fun, though. I got an insanity condition that made it so I had to have my character killed before the game ended. I had to make sure I was defeated. If I wasn't defeated, then I lose. So I was like, okay.
But if you're dead, you win.
Right. Well, I also needed the rest of the party to still win the game. So it's super tricky because if I die, they have to win the game on that turn because they don't get another turn.
Yeah.
So if they don't end the game on the turn that I die, everybody loses. So I'm like, okay, how do I die at the correct time? So I knew we were doing good on kind of what we're supposed to. I felt bad about because I felt we were losing anyway. But I'm like, this is the best time for me to die. So I'm like, go insane, go insane. So I just cast a million spells and went insane and died. And then Rob pulled it through and did the thing we were supposed to do. But then we still kind of lost. But yeah, I was saying about the whole Rob was the only person who didn't go insane in the game.
I would have gone insane had I not
been reading the book all day long.
Reading the book all day, and you guys were like, "Man, you're a real jerk. Why didn't you save that? Why didn't you share that with me? Why didn't you share it with me?" No, because first of all, you would have never given it back, and then I would have gone insane.
I mean, didn't want to take it from you.
The only reason I didn't go insane is because I had that book. But when we ended, everybody went insane. What I loved about that scenario,
no spoilers. Or not too many spoilers. Yeah. I already said it's a lot of bookkeeping and trying to figure out.
It is a lot of bookkeeping. We don't know what we did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it ends.
I mean, I know what we did wrong, but I don't know how to fix it. Like I know it's going to be complete.
Well, no, we don't know what we chose was wrong. We don't know what we chose was wrong. Because like at the end, it gives you options, and like you're trying to search for certain things, and then it's like it tells you. Before you go any further, review your notes. Are you sure you want to go forward? Mm-hmm. And we're like, yes. And Rodney and Roy are like, just pick this one. Just pick this one. And I'm like, guys, I don't think it's this one. And Rodney's stressed out.
We discussed it a bunch, and we were trying to figure it out. No, and I feel like
you guys were like, I think it's X. And I was like, guys, I don't think it's X. It doesn't make sense. And Hector and Ryan, they were just kind of going along with it.
Ryan was exploring all the stuff.
And so here's the thing. So when we beat the game, on this particular scenario, it makes you make hard decisions that you can't go back and fix later on.
Yep.
And it doesn't let you know if you make the right decisions or not. It's just at the very end of the game, it says, you die, you win. And ours was, you die. Doesn't let you know if you made the right choices, if you made the right sequences to puzzles, if you did any of this stuff. And I absolutely loved it.
We beasted those puzzles. There was a ton of puzzles in this one too, which I loved.
There were a ton of puzzles, but I love the fact that like it is such like a hard press because like the game lets you believe that you made the right decision.
Yep.
It literally does until you complete whatever it wants you to complete.
I didn't feel good about it though while we were doing it. Ever since we got that last question, I was like.
I knew it was the wrong one.
Yeah, I mean, once we got to the last one, I felt like we were
I
wrong
think
too.
it was X, and I won't say it, but I think.
But we were too late because we had already made a wrong choice earlier. I'm pretty sure. So. But
anyway, it was a blast. It was probably out of all the new expansions, or even just all the missions for Mansions of Madness, is probably my favorite. The only thing I don't like about the mission so much, but I don't think it was a really big deal, is we really did not encounter. On this one, monsters per se during the beginning and middle. The monsters come out like crazy at the end.
If you like this one, Rob, there's another one where it's like a dinner party and someone's trying to murder the guy. It's very similar to that one. I'm not sure the name of it, but that one is also like along the same lines as this one where you're trying.
Was that expansion?
It's in the Beyond the Threshold expansion. So the first actual expansion for 2nd edition.
All right, I'll have to check that out. But
yeah, that one Matt, this was the same crazy. Lines.
It reminded me of like Time Stories meets Mansions of Madness. Like you're taking notes like Time Stories, and you're trying to run around and do certain things. But it's a little bit harder than Time Stories because Time Stories, if you guys die, you can just like reset and start over. This one was like at the very end, it was like, great, you completed the X thing, and this happened, and all of a sudden it started to happen. And next thing you know, blood starts pouring out of your eyes and your nose and your mouth and your ears, and everybody dies. That's it.
This scenario was pretty graphic too. I don't want to spoil into the story, but it was pretty crazy.
It was Sherlock Holmes mystery meets Time Stories meets Final Destination.
Basically, yeah, Final Destination is a good explanation for what was going on in this scenario.
Especially the first guy that died with the van thing. I won't get too much into it.
Rob's like, oh, let me just tell the whole thing. That's good.
Well, like, they may change it up. That's what's great about the game, though. It may not be the same every time.
Yeah, I guarantee you the thing we were trying to find is going to be different, and all the numbers and different things are going to be different.
Do you think the van thing will happen again? Because that was just
I feel
intense.
like the storyline stuff will be along the same lines. Maybe not necessarily in the same order, but we'll see.
All right, I'm going to tell you this, man. I don't care.
Okay.
So there are a lot of like NPCs in the world, and you got to interact with a lot of people in the world.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, people just start dying. People are just dying.
Right.
Well, that's the whole story. Is like you're trying to figure out.
They're just dying around you. You'll go talk to somebody, and next thing you know, they'll die. And so you better talk to them a lot, because if they die without giving you all the information, you're just SOL. So this one guy, because you know how you can keep talking to the characters until they say, I've got nothing left to give you?
Yeah.
Well, we started to figure that out about halfway through the game. Like, all right, it's imperative we do this because these people are dying off, and we're not getting the information that we need from them because we're like asking a question and then moving on and exploring. This one guy walks outside, and this is how the game is. He walks outside, and immediately as he's walking outside, this van swerves off the road and is heading straight for him. He jumps out of the way of the van. The van crashes. He jumps into like some people in the sidewalk who react by pushing him back in the road, who he then dodges another car that's coming to hit him.
There's also a telephone pole that fell from the car hitting it.
The van that crashed into a telephone pole.
Yeah.
And then the telephone pole from the van, after he dodged the van and the second car, then that fell down and killed him.
That's super Final Destination.
Right? It's like, you can't get out of this. Like, this happened, and then he dodged, that happened, and then this, and there was some other crazy stuff that happened, but that was the most crazy. There was some stuff flew in there and just killed this girl, and then they flew out. It was some crazy stuff, but I absolutely loved it. It was a blast. Hearing Roy and Rodney complain, Robert, heal me. Robert, I'm going crazy. Shut up. You go crazy by yourself. Leave me alone. I'm not going crazy.
Rob doesn't understand how cooperative games work sometimes.
I do understand how cooperative games are.
It's funny because Rob was like, I don't trust you, Roy. You're going to be the betrayer. Or I'm trying to make it so I'm not the betrayer. Help me, Rob. I don't want to betray you.
So Matt, here's the thing. Rodney goes insane first. And as soon as he goes insane,
it was
he quits
so
talking
creepy.
to everybody.
It was so
and
creepy.
He picks up a knife and then just gets super quiet. His character picks up a knife and he's like, I'm done. And Roy's like, oh, crap, guys. He's coming to kill me. I'm holding up.
I immediately went into panic mode.
He's like, somebody, please don't leave me alone with Rodney, because some of the betrayer things are like,
just leave
if you're
anybody
alone with a person,
alone.
you sacrifice him. So does Hector go and save him? No. Does Ryan go and save him? No. Who saves him? Robert comes and saves him.
I just want you to stand
Does he remember that Robert saved him? No. All he remembers is, why didn't you heal this for me? Why didn't you do this for me?
All I know is that we wanted you to read us the Bible and you wouldn't read it to us. So
I was reading it to myself. I was like, man, this is a good book.
Hey, man, Rob's seen the Book of Eli.
Yes. I was doing my stuff, man.
Anyway, Rob's like, I gotta get me right before I can get you right. And I need it more than you do right now.
Here's the thing, though. If I did not do that to myself, I would have gone insane before anybody else.
Yeah, we were all going insane pretty bad. Oh, it was fun. It was fun, though. I had a blast. I loved it. Love to play more.
I'm probably going to play that scenario again with Lee while he's here.
Nice.
Because he loves time stories and other games like that. So.
But yeah, so definitely thumbs up for the Mansions of Madness Streets of Arkham. People were talking about how expensive they said it is, because it's like a $50 expansion, but it comes with 3 scenarios, and the miniatures that are in there, like the one guy is huge. He's gigantic and looks awesome. 4 new characters.
It is a little pricey. I think they could have got away with it being $35 or even $39.99. Because again, the expansions are all digital.
They roll over the price of that development for that app into the physical product, which makes it
there's
pretty
a lot
steep.
to it. I'm biased because it's my favorite game ever, and so I'm gonna pay for it just because I love it. And so like I get it, but at the same time, I also don't think it's a bad price point because everything it has to offer, and the fact that if you do play it over and over again, it's not just going to be the same thing over and over again. So
And it's for me, it's one of those games I am guaranteed to play. I mean, I've played every other expansion scenario, like every other scenario in the game, period. So 3 more for me was just like, oh my goodness, 3 more. And now I've played one of those 3 more. And I definitely need to play that one again because I haven't beaten it yet. I think I haven't beaten all the rest of them. I was going to say I beat all the rest of them. There's one that I didn't beat out of the other ones.
Oh, it's creepy. Like, this is the one that I would play in a Halloween. Like, this is that creepy, just like trying to figure stuff out. Like, it's not creepy because of monsters. It's just creepy because it's messing with your mind. Am I asking the right questions? Is this happening? Like, what's going on? It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. So, Streets of Arkham for Mansions of Madness. Awesome, good times.
Boom.
Cool, guys. Oh, well, we've talked about a lot of games for a really long time. I'll make
this last one real quick. I started playing Star Wars Destiny.
Oh, yeah. You can tell us your...
Here we go.
It's not good.
Oh, this is Streets of Arkham, by the way.
Here's what I mean by it's not good. It's
Green Street?
Yes. On the screen, it's actually Streets of Arkham. Streets of Arkham.
I actually really like the game. That's the problem. Like, I've already spent money on it.
Rob, like, isn't that game going away?
What game going away?
Everybody I hear is talking about the downfall of Star Wars Destiny and how nobody's playing it anymore.
Why?
It had its heyday.
Train's come and gone.
Well, I'm bringing it back, baby. And, anyway, I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. I love the simplicity and yet the movement. Like, I love how you literally take action and the next person goes.
It felt like fun, Ashes simple, in that respect to me.
No, Ashes is a lot better game.
I agree on that. Ashes. But as far as the going back and forth, felt like Ashes.
Yeah, I could see that. But anyway, Star Wars Destiny. Kent Parker, who Matt saw because he goes to every single convention.
Oh, yeah.
Kent, if you're listening, let's play over Google.
Trevor also plays a ton. He saw Kent at the tournament at PAX U.
I will say this: if you've never played the game, still go play with Mark. You'll still beat him pretty easily. He's just not that good at games. So,
rough,
but anyway,
man, rough.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I enjoyed it. I've been enjoying myself. Got some crazy cards, made some crazy combos.
What did you think about the randomness in it?
Well, it's like Magic. I mean, you draw in your cards, so it's not too unfamiliar. That's what I like about Ashes better is picking my starting 5 and stuff. But just like any other LCG game I've played, it's got randomness. Like, you pick your X, you do your X, and then draw your cards, and that's how it is.
Yeah, I have several friends that do tournaments for it, and they just get semi-frustrated when they like lose a game because it's like, and I discard a card to re-roll the dice, and it didn't show up it showed up terrible. And then I discard another card to re-roll the dice, and it showed up terrible, and then they killed me.
But that's games like that. I mean, Magic is the same way with when it comes to mana spawning or not spawning or other things like that. That's just, you can prepare as much as you want, but there's still a luck thing that happens to it. So, yeah, I mean, there's always going to be something about a game that somebody may not like But those same friends that you're talking about, they went super heavy into that game. They spent a lot of money if they're the people that I'm thinking about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they all had tier 1 decks and everything for the game. So,
well, are they going to play in like tournaments for like a lot of money? Like, are they trying to make a livelihood doing that?
You can't for Star Wars Destiny because all you can get is promos for winning. So then
why are you getting all mad? It's a game where you're just going to have fun. Now, Magic, I understand. You can make good money. I know a guy who opened up his own game store because he made so much money playing Magic the Gathering. Like, he was a professional player.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to try to do that, don't get all crazy. It's a game, man.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing against me, I'm going to beat you with my basic blue and red dice. Still, I had a blast. It's a lot of fun. I'll probably play that 3 or 4 more times today. In fact, we went to the store earlier before the show and bought some more singles and some more dice. It's not good.
I was trying to keep you away, Rob. I was trying to save you, but
what happened was
no saving.
This,
there's no saving.
What happened, Roy, was freaking Lee coming, man, because him and his daughter, they play it.
Oh, they
and I love
play?
that. See, it's a game that him and his daughter play together, And I loved it. It's like, oh man, it's so great. And I was like, do you have it? And I was like, yeah, I ended up getting this 2-player deck of it. I was like, oh, we should play. And we all played last night. And then today we went to the store and I got some more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we also saw Justice League today.
How did you actually like that? I've heard mixed.
I actually liked Justice League. I went in with low expectations, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very rushed. I'm excited for the future of Justice League just because of the new people coming on board, and I'm hoping these stupid like executive producers who are telling it to be under 2 hours, because they could have added more into this movie. I like how I could see the Josh Whedon hand on it, not so much Zack Snyder. Like, I like some of Zack Snyder's older stuff. I don't like some of his newer stuff. And so it was nice to see some
Matt
of the change.
has a look of disapproval on his face.
Well, like, I like Sucker Punch. I like the 300. I thought Watchmen was okay. But unless you like read the comics, Watchmen was like really kind of rough. For me personally, anyway, I just thought it was fun. I enjoyed the movie for what it was. I like some of the Easter eggs that they had in the movie with like some other characters and stuff. And I've always been a DC fan. Like, if I could be any superhero, it would be Superman, just because he's OP, and he is so OP. But anyway, so I thought it was good. I mean, it's a movie based off of comic books. What are you going in there really expecting?
Fun.
Like, right? Go in there expecting fun. Special effects, a lot of fighting, crazy stuff. Cool. You'll get that.
I want a Korg and Mick miniseries. That's all I want, man.
What?
Have you guys seen Thor Ragnarok?
Yes.
Is that the Rock guy?
Yeah. Korg is the Rock dude. And Mick's that little
who's
little dude with the scissor hands. Oh my god, that guy's my favorite.
He's the director.
Yeah,
I love that. I did not know that. I thought Thor Ragnarok is probably my favorite Marvel movie to date.
As soon as he was talking, it was just like, "Hey man, I'm a rock guy." I was just like, "Oh my god, that's him."
Yes.
I got so
tried to start a revolt. Ran out of pamphlets.
Yeah. Hey, my name's Corp. It's my pal Mick. He's got knives to hands. Sorry. Like, yes.
I just only my mom and her boyfriend showed up, so it was a real short-lived. I absolutely loved it. And then he steps on the guy and he's like, "Oh, he's dead. I stepped on him earlier. Doesn't want to say anything because I felt bad."
It's just been carrying him around all day.
I've been carrying him around. I absolutely loved it. That's what I want Justice League to turn into. Fun, crazy, because that was such a well-done movie. The action was great in that movie.
That's
the movie itself was great. Like, it was just a fun movie.
I feel like too many superhero movies try to take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
And it's like, guys,
you're people in tights running around.
If you really want me to get down to it, we can bust out the physics textbook. But I'm not here for that. So, I don't know.
Hey, stay away from those physics textbooks. We already know.
I would go see Thor again in theaters. I enjoyed it that much.
I did see it get over at PAX Unplugged because some of the people we went with hadn't seen it. They were like, "You want to see it again?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Especially at the very beginning when he's like in that cage and he's just like, he falls down and he's going, I was like, "Hold on. I'll be right back. I'm not doing this on purpose. We had really good chemistry. Just hold on." I loved it from the get-go. Just so much fun.
Nice.
I like a lot of that director's movies. Anyway, I'll let Roy close.
Yeah, we need to go because I got to go play Bunny Kingdom.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks so much, everybody who tuned in. We stream these Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at youtube.com/Epic Gaming Night. You can come out and hang out with us and Mark and Darth Grader and all the cool people in chat. You guys are all amazing. Adam's been cheating on us with, who knows, picture taken probably.
Ambi, what's up, girl?
And Ambi, awesome.
Ambi, you want to talk about somebody who's been going to cons this year? Her and her husband. She's been going to cons like crazy. Can't forget our favorite Liz, not Emily. Liz from Florida.
Awesome. And also make sure to hit us up on Twitter and Instagram and check out Favorite Game Friday over on the Dice Tower as well. But we do have our patrons who help us out every week. Did you see what our patron of the week is this week, Rob?
Let me check.
The awesome thing about our patron of the week is I know for a fact, I think you can probably do it better than I can, but today is our patron of the week's birthday.
Ooh, so really? Yeah, I do know who it is.
Yep.
So, all right, I do know who it is. I don't even have to say anything then. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's see what happens here.
Listen, our patron of the week. First of all, this one actually it's not going to be as crazy because this one hits close to home because it's actually a local guy.
Yeah, he lives close to home. Yeah.
He is a very local guy. Our patron of the week is Doug Bass. Doug, first of all, super crazy creative guy. Mm-hmm. For those that don't know, Doug Bass is the creator of Garden Dice. And he's also he has his own board game company, and they've got several games coming out. In fact, we played some of the games last year at Gen Con that he was selling to some companies, like that one about the island with the birds and stuff like. I can't remember the name of it.
Like flicking finches. About Darwin's finches. It's pretty.
That's right. But what was the name of the island? It started with an A. It's like the crazy
Galapagos Islands, right?
Anyway, I think it is Galapagos, not with an A. Doug is he's such a great and sweet and fun guy. I've got to play games with Doug several times. Mm-hmm. In fact, the first time I ever met Doug, his hair was like super bright red. Just dyed his hair like super bright red. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, did not see that coming. But now knowing him, that totally meets his personality. He's a lot of fun. He loves the outdoors. He's got a beautiful family. He's got a beautiful home. I bought games from him. So I've been to his house like, hey, man. But I didn't touch anything while I was inside. But Doug he's also a great entrepreneur for this industry. Like, we have some really big meetup groups for board games here in the Winston-Salem area, and Doug helped start a couple. I know he helped start up the Camel City Gamers, which now has got over 300 members in it. And it's people like Doug who are professional, who have a fantastic attitude, who are driven and who are, goal-oriented, who really kind of help organize and put all of us crazy introverts and extroverts together. And he is just one of those guys where I know if Doug, if he's doing something, it's going to turn out fantastic. And I know if Doug, if he says something or if he recommends something, I know I'm going to enjoy it. He's just one of those, he's just a really good, down-to-earth, smart, fun guy. And I'm glad that he lives in my area. I'm glad that, I get to bump into him and stuff like that. And so, Doug, we thank you so much for everything that you do for the show. And we thank you so much for everything that you do for the gaming hobby and for the genre. You are a fantastic human being. We appreciate you so much for putting up with us. And we enjoy being your friend. We hope to play games with you soon and sit down and play games with you soon. But have an amazing night. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts for everything that you do. Keep creating those great games, and we'll keep bugging you. So, thank you, Doug.
Wood chip cologne.
I don't know if Doug would do wood chip cologne.
He's got that outdoorsman stuff going on, man. He'd totally be down with the wood chip.
I would not wood chip. He'd be like a cedar.
Man, why don't you just go the opposite direction and be like,
dude, I was really thinking we need a Epic Gaming Night wood chip cologne T-shirt. Like, that would be the best for the show. I just need somebody to design it. It would be awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you'd like to support Epic Gaming Night, make sure to check us out at patreon.com/Epic Gaming Night. But yeah, that's our show. Thanks everybody for joining us on this episode of us just talking about games that we've been playing. It was pretty cool to catch up with Matt.
Terrible thing.
Catch up with Matt and just talking about all the fun things that we've been getting into. So thanks everybody in chat. You guys are all the best.
Yes, you are. We appreciate you guys. I'm gonna go play games now.
Hype.
I'm gonna be up really late, so I'll talk to you guys later.
Peace.
But Rob, hold up.
What?
I have